Welcome to this challenging questions Bible quiz. You'll get 25 questions and 7 seconds to select the correct answer. Keep track of how many you get right and don't forget to drop your final score in the comments below. Let's get started. Who assassinated King Eglon of Moab? A. Ehud. Ehud was left-handed, which helped him sneak a sword past the guards. Judges 3 verse 15. What was the name of Moses' mother? B. Jochebed. Jochebed hid Moses for 3 months before placing him in the Nile. Exodus 6 verse 20. Which prophet made an iron yoke and wore it as a sign? C. Jeremiah. Jeremiah used dramatic props to deliver God's messages. Jeremiah 28 verse 10. Which Old Testament prophet saw a vision of a valley full of dry bones? C. Ezekiel. The vision of dry bones symbolized Israel's restoration and is one of the most vivid prophetic images in the Bible. Ezekiel 37 verses 1 to 14. What was the name of the king who lost his sanity and ate grass like an ox? D. Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar's sanity was restored after he acknowledged God. Daniel 4 verses 33 to 34. Who was the father of John the Baptist? A. Zechariah. Zechariah was rendered mute until John's birth due to disbelief. Luke 1 verse 20. Which disciple found a coin in a fish's mouth? B. Peter. Jesus sent Peter to catch a fish for the temple tax. Matthew 17 verse 27. Who was the first person killed for their faith in the New Testament? D. Stephen. Stephen's martyrdom sparked widespread persecution. Acts 7 verses 59 to 60. What was the name of David's son who tried to take his throne? B. Absalom. Absalom's rebellion ended when he was caught by his hair in a tree. 2 Samuel 18 verse 9. Which king reigned for only 7 days? C. Zimri. Zimri set the palace on fire and died inside. 1 Kings 16 verses 15 to 18. Who was the prophet that cooked his food over cow dung? B. Ezekiel. God first told Ezekiel to use human dung, but he pleaded for a change. Ezekiel 4 verse 15. Which Old Testament figure's donkey spoke to him? A. Balaam. Balaam's donkey saw an angel that Balaam could not. Numbers 22:28. Which gospel records the parable of the persistent widow, also known as the unjust judge? C. Luke. Only Luke includes the parable of the persistent widow, recorded in Luke 18 verses 1 to 8. This story highlights the importance of persistent prayer and faith in God's justice. What was the name of the high priest who found the book of the law during Josiah's reign? B. Hilkiah. This discovery led to national religious reform. 2 Kings 22 verse 8. Who fell asleep during Paul's long sermon and fell from a window? A. Eutychus. Eutychus was raised back to life by Paul, Acts 20 verses 9 to 10. Which prophet had a vision of a flying scroll? D. Zechariah. The flying scroll symbolized judgment on thieves and liars, Zechariah 5 verses 1 to 2. Who was the first king of the northern kingdom of Israel after the split? A. Jeroboam. Jeroboam set up golden calves in Bethel and Dan, 1 Kings 12 verses 20 to 29. What was the name of the woman who hid the Israelite spies in Jericho? C. Rahab. Rahab was later included in the genealogy of Jesus, Matthew 1 verse 5. What king ordered the execution of all male infants in Bethlehem? B. Herod. This event is known as the Massacre of the Innocents, Matthew 2 verse 16. Who was the Roman centurion that Peter visited after a vision? A. Cornelius. Cornelius was the first Gentile convert to Christianity, Acts 10 verses 1 to 48. In the book of Revelation, what are the names of the two witnesses who prophesy for 1,260 days and have the power to shut up the sky so that no rain falls? See, the names are not given in Scripture. The two witnesses, described in Revelation 11 verses 3 to 12, have powers reminiscent of Moses, turning water to blood, and Elijah, shutting up the sky, which is why so many guesses point to them. But the Bible leaves their identities open, sparking centuries of debate and curiosity. Who was the first person to build an altar to the Lord in the Bible? D. Noah. After the flood, Noah built an altar and offered burnt offerings to God, Genesis 8 verse 20. Who was the only woman in the Bible described as a prophetess and a judge? B. Deborah. Deborah held both titles, making her unique among Israel's leaders, Judges 4 verse 4. Who interpreted King Belshazzar's mysterious handwriting on the wall? A. Daniel. Daniel interpreted the writing Mean Tekel Parsin, which foretold the fall of Babylon, Daniel 5 verses 25 to 28. What was the name of the man who carried Jesus' cross part of the way to Golgotha? A. Simon of Cyrene. Simon of Cyrene was compelled by Roman soldiers to help Jesus, Mark 15 verse 21. Wow, great job! Which question did you find the toughest? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the challenge, don't forget to hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss our next round of faith-filled quizzes. Thanks for hanging out with me on Quizzical Grace, where we laugh, learn, and grow in faith together.